All right, legends, how is everybody doing? Hope you're doing absolutely fantastic today. Let's analyze the situation for Bitcoin because we were pumping. We got a little bit of a quick flash crash and now we're getting a little bounce. We're going to analyze this local situation because there are some different scenarios that we need to take a look at from this current price action that we have had. I am going to go through the comment section, of course, as always. I am going to go through multiple different things. There is news that I want to talk about today. And also, we're going to take a look at some more important charts to take into consideration on this live stream, guys. So if you do enjoy the content, make sure to absolutely destroy that like button on your way in. And we're going to go right away through the comment section, guys. Let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see me, if you can see the charts. Nice blank chart here on Bitcoin, so we can start with the explanation of the scenarios that could happen, guys, not only in the next coming days, but in the next coming hours. So let's go right away. I can see Aditya here, my brother. How are you doing, my man? Thanks for joining. Mustafa, second like. Hope you're doing good, Andy. Let's get 500 plus likes, guys. If we get to 500 likes, I'm doing a Trezor hardware giveaway, all right? You just need to comment down below after the stream and just smash up the like button and we'll be doing a giveaway of a hardware wallet. If it gets to 1,000 likes, I'm giving $500 worth of Bitcoin, all right? That is really close to impossible as the average likes right now is 300, 400, might get to 500, let's see. Let's go right away. Hemrak, how are you doing? Arvin, Godzilla, Jan, Andy, have you bottomed out? Will we go below 55k is the question. Have we bottomed out? Will we go below 55k? We have a high chance in bottomed out here or potentially create one more low, okay? Potentially create one more low. There is a possibility. However, I would not be scared if we were to claim this low, and I've got a brief explanation right over here. And the explanation is basically, guys, we are in this move, right? And this is extremely corrective for the moment, unless this is going to be impulsive and we are going to correct at some point. We are going to get that bounce at some point, whether that is claiming the low or without claiming the low. The bounce to above $60,000 is going to happen, okay? However, the question is right now, is that bounce, is that recovery after claiming the low or not, is it going to be impulsive or is it going to be corrective? Meaning that all of this has been impulsive to the downside and we're just going to get a bounce and then we're going to start breaking down. There's been a 1-2 and this, things are going to get messy. I don't think that is going to be the case. The highest probability scenario is that this is still very corrective. When we zoom out, we are still in very strong bullish market structure. And what I like about this, legends, is that we are testing the lows of the range and we're not breaking down. This consolidation is just making me bullish, okay? We're not breaking down from the lows of the range that we formed during the last 4 months. Something similar, right? We're going to say it could be something similar of something that happened here back in 2023, where we had a major high. We created a low, we tested the highs and came back down and tested the lows. When we do zoom in on this price action, we can see how we have the all-time high, the pivot low, getting close to the highs, hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci, right? Very, very close. And also coming back down to the lows again. And we're not breaking down. When we break these kind of levels, I want to see a big drop, right? I want to see the price going lower, much lower, right? Not consolidating at the lows. This is getting me here. This does look pretty good for the price to get a significant bounce. Now, as you said, will we drop below $55,000? For me, there is 2 scenarios and they are both bullish, with one of them being slightly bearish, short term. So overall, I am looking at plus $60,000 for the next 1 to 2 weeks. However, we could come down to test the lows one more time here. And I'm going to explain why. This was explained in today's video. Of course, the ultimate bullish case scenario would be, of course, that we have finished this C wave, which is very, very likely. As you know, that there is a high chance that we have finished this corrective structure, right? We all know that the price action, okay, moves impulsively in 5 waves and it corrects in 3 waves, either very complex ones in WXYs, okay, or in ABC. Then obviously there's the ABCDE, but on higher time frame, this is still too soon to recognize, all right? For the moment, we just got 3 waves, so we need to go with this scenario. Depending on what we develop in the next coming days, then we can talk about other scenarios. But for the moment, we know that, right? The price moves impulsively in 5 waves, and it has 3 corrective waves, either in a flat or in a zigzag, right? In this case, we did create a flat in 2023. And for the moment, we got this zigzag, right? We didn't claim the start of the A wave, so it's not a flat, and we have come below the A wave, turning it into a zigzag. We have hit the 1-to-1 extension, right? When we do take a look at Fibonacci extension, the most common zone, okay, for a wave C is the 105 to the 1236, right? That is the common zone. However, it can extend to the 1.618. This would be coming down to $43,000, but that would be rare, okay? Most commonly, it's for a third impulsive wave. We are not going to talk about that just yet, right? Just purely based on the bullish market structure. And we're going to talk about the local scenarios to understand what it would be an invalidation, where is the price going to become more bullish or more bearish, right? So for the moment, yeah, we've hit the 1.05, okay, getting below the 1-to-1 extension very nicely. We are holding here the $54,000 range. Why? We could just simply say, hey, it's the 1-to-1 extension. That is it, right? It's a technical level. This is why, just a simple reason why we are holding and consolidating at these levels. Now, the question is, of course, questions, guys. I'm asking the question here for you, to myself, right? When can we start becoming bullish, right? When can, this zone already for me is acceptable swing long in zone. And even getting beneath the low here, I would consider the price, hey, come on, this is ready already. Just looking at the timing, there is higher probability to get a bounce at some point than this just slowly grinding down, right? Because of the timing looks right, and we should be getting a relief rally or a massive pump rally, okay? Because here, most of the people, are bearish, right? We have seen a lot of FUDs during last week. A lot of people quite bearish. So what do we need to check here is several scenarios, right? The bullish one, okay, higher time frame, right? Looking at the daily. As I explained, there are some exchanges that haven't tapped this high. The bullish case scenario is that we finished here this C wave in 5 wave moves here, all right? However, on Bybit, we did claim that high. So this, we could arguably discuss that this would not be valid. But it could be as, hey, on some exchanges, it's been a lower high, right? Here, just slightly below $72,000. So we could arguably discuss, hey, this is the end of C wave. Bang, we're going to start pumping up. There is an accumulation schematic here possible where this is the spring point. This is also definitely a scenario, okay? Basically, in an accumulation, you form a range right there, and you do have a spring point from a low, okay? That it would be a reaccumulation schematic. So, yeah, definitely a possibility that things could flip bullish from here. However, what if we do count the other scenario? Hey, you cannot count this. We've overlapped this high. There is no way in a million years that we can do this as a second wave, all right? So screw you. We need to take a look at different scenarios. So another scenario right over here is that this movement down obviously has to be a C wave or a third wave. We're talking about the C wave. We're talking about the corrective structure here for the moment. So the scenario here would be that we are, this has been a one wave down, okay, and it would be pretty aggressive, and a contracting diagonal, the only, you can have a wave one larger than the third wave, right? And the fifth wave smaller than the third wave as well, okay, only in a contracting diagonal. So the possibility here of creating one more leg to the downside, okay, or even, there is also a Fibonacci pattern here, which would be a 3 drives pattern, which I haven't checked with Fibonacci, but it could be a 3 driver as well. And I like 3 drive patterns. They do play out very, very well. And it also gets in a kind of a descending wedge, right? Or a channel contracting diagonal, okay, kind of scenario. Anybody that's not aware of a 3 drives pattern, let me just show you right away here with the patterns that I do have. Okay, 3 drive pattern here based on harmonics would be this right over here. However, it could be that we, if we do form one more low, we're gonna have to check the Fibonacci levels to see if that is possible. So a bullish 3 drive pattern, you want those 3 peak lows, and that could also be a scenario right over here if we were to claim the lows. So I would not be scared by claiming the lows. I would be looking for a swing failure pattern or a failed auction. Basically coming down to the lows. I mean, if we were to get a larger bounce would be ideal, all right? Because if not, this is going to be a little bit too squeezed. However, it would still be a wedgy structure. But if we come down to claim those lows, we're looking for that possible either contracting, okay, diagonal right there, or a 3 drives pattern to give that bounce. Now, we could analyze the situation here for a 3 drives pattern as well. Okay, so let's just get those harmonic levels right away and come down here and analyze. Yeah, you could arguably discuss this as just slightly tapping the 618. You're getting the bounce here. If this were to be the high of this 3 drives pattern, yeah, we could come down as low as $51,800. Sorry about that. If we were to just form a lower high from here. Okay, so yeah, round about the $51,000. I would obviously prefer the bounce to come to higher levels at 59K. That would be ideal, 59, 60K, and then move down in the next coming days. So we'll go to lower time frames to see this possible scenario as well. But a 3 drives pattern is without a doubt a scenario that could happen, and it's coming all the way down to the $50,000 range. This level is where we do have a high volume node checking the volume profile. We do have a consolidation at that level, right? At that zone of $50,000, we consolidated back in February, leaving us a high volume node on the chart, okay? This high volume node would be kind of in confluence with this possible 3 drive pattern, right? So it's something that we need to take into consideration. I would, without a doubt, still look for swing long positions if the price were to come down there, with the bounce or without the bounce. All right, we're going to zoom in on the lower time frames. Let's just move this out of the way. So we've got the contracting diagonal, and we do have the 3 drives pattern as well as a possibility. So let's go right away, zoom in here to the lower time frames and try and explain a little bit what the heck is going on with this move. It looked pretty promising. Okay, let's get this off the chart and let's mark some levels on the chart, such as, daily levels. We've got a beautiful rejection, my goodness, to the absolute dollar here from a daily level that was printed just a few days ago, guys. Let's just zoom in on the chart, okay, on the daily, and just for anybody that is new to see how how you mark these daily levels. Well, daily levels are basically close and opens from previous candlesticks, right? From previous days. that are untapped. Once you tap them, of course, and you break through them, then you don't want to mark that level. So we had an untapped daily level exactly here at $58,200 that we just gently tapped today as we were getting the rise. Very disturbing, very difficult for a short position. However, you were overlapping the 0.88 Fibonacci. When you do get a movement up to a 0.88, it gives you a probability that you're likely going to take those highs. So now the question is, what the heck is this, right? I thought we had a bullish case scenario here, either in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got a bit of an ABC, and this bounce was epic right there. My goodness. This bounce was epic. This was hitting exactly a naked point of control. Looking at the session volume profile, we had a naked point of control there that was tapped to perfection. My goodness. This was at 3 a.m. Central European time. Naked point of control right there. Tapped with the 7/8 Fibonacci from the pivot low of Friday to the pivot high of Sunday at $58,400. You can see that 7/8 Fibonacci with the naked point of control from Friday, the highest volume node, and getting the bounce. But not only that, legends, we actually formed a 3-wave structure to the downside. What do I mean? Well, this movement to the downside was a 3-wave structure, as you can see on the chart. And when we get the extension here, we tapped at 1.618 as well. Oh my goodness, to perfection right there. $54,300, naked point of control, 7/8 Fibonacci for that speculative wave 2 or wave B right there, to then look for this to blast through the highs. Now, what is disturbing is that we've come so close with this movement today that it's just highly likely it's going to be taken at some point. Now the question is, what the heck happened here? Is this still bullish? Well, this is getting very disturbing for the moment. We could be ranging for another few more days. It looks like that we want to build up a little bit of a symmetrical triangle. And I don't like this symmetrical triangle, okay? I would prefer the price action to break through to the upside before, okay, getting another rejection down, because if not, then this is not going to be looking too great as we are coming from a downtrend, and this could be that we're forming an A, B, C, D, E, and we're just breaking down in the next coming days. So I prefer that we do not range here for the next coming days. I would rather see the price action having an attempt and breaking through from here. Then we can count if we are forming an ABC here, right? Or this is getting extremely punchy, bang, and it's getting to $63,000. We hit the 1.618 extension, bang. This is looking very bullish, right? If we were to come very close to these highs right there, just even wicking above it, wow, that is going to be bullish, guys. There's no way that this could be bearish in a million years. The retracement down is just highly likely going to form a higher low, depending, we'll be analyzing that scenario once we get there. But that's my preferred scenario, because when we zoom in right now on the 15-minute chart, it looks like that we could be rangy, right? Because of this drop today. This could still be a wave 2. Don't get me wrong. This could still be a wave 2. We're forming a higher low. This would be an invalidation point, the $54,200. We want to stay above that level if we want to count any type of bullish count. So, without a doubt, a second wave here at the 7/8 still possible. Could still break through here, right? And get that momentum to the upside. Still very much a possibility as long as we are above this pivot low. Now, what is disturbing or what is building up here is a possible A, B, C, D, E. And the main reason why is because you can technically count this also as a 3-wave structure. Also as a 5-wave structure, that's what we're speculating on, but also a 3-wave here, not the most beautiful one, a 3-wave here, and then we're looking for a 3-wave here to the upside. And then, you know, if we do form if we do reject from this point without taking this high, and we start moving down, it ain't going to be looking good. It will be a very ugly A, B, C, D, E. It would just look very, very ugly if we suddenly, you know, come up here right now. It's just really not that symmetrical, if you ask me, but it's a possibility. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. It would not make sense. So, I mean, it would be nice to see in the next coming days, or if we might just roll down from here, maybe claim that low again here in the next coming days and still manage to maintain this higher low. But if this does happen, okay, in the next coming days, you know, say that we roll down from this point and we also form a three-wave structure here to the upside and we're topping out, that is just not going to be looking too great, okay? I don't want to see this. I don't want to see the range continuing for the next coming days, because then I would be leaning in the camp of, oh my goodness, we're just building up here a bearish pennant, if you wish, to just get continuation to the downside, okay? It's just building up a flag to just break down. So I would prefer that the next price action that we do have, if it is going to be to the upside, to break through, to just break through, so then we can count this as an ABC or a 1, 2, 3, right? We're in the third wave. Leaning on that, on the camp there, that could be the possibility. So yes, regarding levels, let's talk about some setups and some major levels. Without a doubt, I'm speculating some swing long positions here, legends. You know, I am speculating on some swing longs from this zone. But if we do break down from here, right, just say that the price action rolls down and claims the lows here from Friday, right, getting beneath 53K. You might think to yourself, okay, what the heck is going on now? You know, what are you going to count inside of here? What is this? What has this been right here? Well, it would just have to be a running flat, basically. You would just have to count this as an A, B, and a C right there. Hang on a second. If you break down from here now, beneath the B wave, and you tap the Friday lows, you would just have to count this as impulsive. We're going to talk about the local scenarios here, legends, in just 1 second. But if you break down beneath this low created early this morning, between today and tomorrow, we just have to count this as a running flat right there, okay? B wave not managing to get it below the A wave, C wave not managing to get above the A wave, and you're just breaking down. Now is, you know, if this does happen, I'm going to be ready at these lows, legends. I'm going to be ready at these lows. Why? Why would I be ready at these lows if the price action breaks down in the next 24 to 48 hours? Purely based on the explanation that I've given you here, 3 drives pattern will, you know, it will not be looking too symmetrical. We've formed a little bit of a too low a high here. It's a little bit shallow for the 3 drives pattern, but still very much valid as long as you're maintaining here the 127, 1618, right, which is the target zones of the 3 drives pattern, right? You need to take a look at these Fibonacci levels. You need to be inside of this range for this to be validated. And you also have the contracting diagonal, okay? So you also have the harmonic, but you also have the possibility of the contracting diagonal, right? Which would also be a little bit shallow with this wave 4. But it's still very much valid, okay? Because it will still be contracting, right? You're still forming a wedgie structure. And that is what I would be looking at here if we were to break down, ready for a speculative long position. Now, that movement to the downside, that 5th wave, where can it stop, okay? Because if you want to try and catch a falling knife, you could get burnt if you're using too much leverage. or too much capital. You could panic because maybe you're just going to get a wick here and you're entering too early. And how I like to trade these patterns is, as I know, if this were to be a contracting diagonal or a 3 drives pattern, okay, I am happy to see the possibility, because a 3 drives pattern then gets a huge major bounce, right? You're looking for that breakout to come all the way up to the start of the 3 drives, which would be this high. Okay, so you are targeting the $63,000 to $64,000 range if this is going to play out. Now, of course, how can I trade it? Well, the best way to trade it is looking for the double bottoms, especially in this case. Why especially in this case I would be so interested in a failed auction and a recovery from the low created on Friday? Well, it's purely based because of this. The moment we recover above that low from Friday, we can speculate on this scenario, and we are looking for a very strong bounce all the way up to $63,000, $64,000. Let me get these daily levels out of the way because we got a bit of a messy chart, okay? So we got 2 patterns that can happen. This will not be a moment to panic if we come down to test the lows. Looking at the timing of this move, looking at the possibility that one more move to the downside is possible based on the patterns, okay, you need to be interested in the recovery from the pivot low from Friday sitting at $53,200. That is the moment you can trigger a swing long position all the way up to $63,000 to $64,000 as a minimum target, right? If this starts getting impulsively, I mean, this could get very, very punchy. This could get punchy if we were to finish this ABC structure. Okay, so it's a technical move. It's a liquidity grab from the lows from Friday. I wouldn't panic at this moment based on this structure. If we've broken down from this range and we are dancing around here for the last few days, I can already tell you, if we are breaking such a major low, I want to see a gigantic collapse. And this ain't collapsing anywhere. We're just faffing around here beneath the lows here from the 1st of May. This ain't bearish. This right over here is not bearish. Of course, we can test the lows again. Of course, we could break down. I do not have a crystal ball, but the moment we do move to the downside and we recover, guys, we got a scenario here. We got a scenario here that could bring the price all the way up to $64,000 range days after we claim that low from Friday. So this is a scenario that we need to pay attention for in the next coming days. This is the swing long position. I wouldn't say that we're going to jump all the way up there to $64,000 in a day or two. It's probably going to take a few days to build up all the way up there. But without a doubt, it is the swing long position. Now, of course, none of these patterns, none of these nothing burgers could happen. So this is why we create different plans. We have, you need to have it in the, on a folder here, trading plans, and just get the plans, get the patterns, get the scenarios, and this is how we need to build up that plan with good risk management to see if it can play out. So that is one scenario, but that's a couple of scenarios right over here. The other scenario that we mentioned on today's video update is the price moving up from here, and it does not look too convincing. It doesn't look too convincing right now. The scenarios that I've explained is this one right over here. And if we do break down, guys, I'm going to be ready here. I'm going to be ready to see if we just sweep the lows and then look for the massive bounce, okay? So it's a trading plan. We talk about bullish case scenarios and bearish case scenarios. We need to be ready depending on how the price develops. This looked very good. In today's video update, in today's video update, this looked very good. I was thinking, wow, you know, we got a nice breakout. We're breaking out here from lower high resistance. It does look like a small little bump and run. And I'm going to be paying attention very carefully to this corrective move that's still very three wavy. This is extremely three wavy. This could be it. I mean, we could be this as just being a nice flush, okay? A nice liquidation event. All right, we're going to form that third wave because we formed a three-wave move down. It's, you know, you can see it here very clearly that this is very three-wavy. It's been extremely extensive, without a doubt. It's been a bit of a flash dump right there. Slightly getting below the 1.618, but 1.618, bang, hit, and then back up again. So it still looks good as long as we do not overlap this level. I mean, if you wanted to speculate on a long position here, right there, it was aggressive. I'm already in some, you know, swing longs and some small day trades here because invalidation is clearly at the low, right? It's clearly at the low. And if this does play out, well, obviously you're looking at the highs to be taken. So the level to take that long setup is as close as this low possible, somewhere in this range. But you're obviously targeting a potential breakout. You're targeting here a possible 1-2, okay, ABC right there. And, you know, this would be the zone to speculate on. Let's see if we can claim those highs in the next 24 to 48 hours. On the other side, this doesn't look great. What if the price, okay, when I do take a look at this movement right there, and I want to counter impulsively, fourth wave is getting here to the limit, right? To the limit here of the wave one, right? You kind of overlapping slightly. I mean, it's a gentle tap. I do accept a tap of the first wave, not overlapping it like this, but a gentle tap. I've seen it before play out many, many times. So, you know, I'm in the camp of fourth wave can tap the first wave as long as it's not a gigantic overlap. But it doesn't look highly probable at the moment. I mean, you would have to count this as a little bit of a triangle structure. And if you're speculating that the price is not going to move up from here, I think your invalidation is pretty clear. If you want to speculate that this is going to break down and you're not bullish and you think, I don't see the price recovering. Come on, look at the drop that we've had. This is likely going to form another wave down to claim the lows from the third wave. Your question right now, how can I short this with managing risk very, very well? Well, obviously, just putting your stop loss slightly above the start of the, you know, wave two would be a little bit too aggressive. It would be a little bit too aggressive, but if you're speculating on a short here to come down, I mean, that's already a 2-to-1 risk to reward. But as we have hit that first wave, I don't like it. I don't like this scenario too much. I mean, and that has to be your invalidation. Even the 7-8 Fibonacci. I mean, if you get to the 7-8 Fibonacci, that would be more than plenty to say, look, I was wrong about the price rolling down from this level. And, you know, if you hit the 7-8, it's just very likely that you're going to come up to these lower highs, right? You're just likely just going to take those highs. So instead of having a gigantic stop loss, you know, or add to your position or do any silly things like that and get extremely wrecked, you know, just have a clear invalidation. If we were to come as high as 7-8, completely overlapping here, there's no expanding diagonal possible. There's no contracting diagonal. There's no nothing here at the moment. You would just have to accept that loss. It would be very rare to come all the way up here and then come all the way down. Having that overlap, you would invalidate this scenario, and then that's when this scenario would come into play, right? Where you're forming that ABC and you're looking for this to be impulsive for the next coming hours and days. You would be, I mean, if you do break through from this high, you would want to see the price action very punchy. However, if you do not get a punchy breakout from this high, right, this is no longer impulsive. This is starting to look impulsive, but if you do retrace down, you're expecting a third wave here. You just need to come to the conclusion that you're forming a 1-2-1-2, right? That is if you were to get all the way up, okay, to that 7-8 Fibonacci, you know, almost getting here to this high over here. And if you do come and retrace very strongly, you are looking for a higher low right there, speculating on a 1-2 to then get the explosive third wave breakout inside of the third wave. Okay, so I mean, yeah, there's clear invalidation levels. Clear invalidation levels if you want to speculate on a trading setup here. As we've hit this high, I don't like it too much. You know, I'm leaning on the side that the price could recover after this major drop based on the overlap of this low here, slightly tapping it, and also leaning on the side of this could be a corrective move here. And yeah, basically this scenario right here, right, where we formed 5 waves here, and this is just extremely, this is classic for a wave 2 or a wave B, preferably a wave 2, coming down to the 7-8 Fibonacci, getting that exact bounce at the naked point of control from Friday, right, last Friday, bang, or absolutely classic 1.618 extension. It just looks beautiful for this to give it a chance to be bullish. Now, yes, this 3-wave structure to the downside has been a little bit too aggressive. It has been a little bit too aggressive, okay? Big flash crash of over $3,000 almost in a matter of a couple of hours. But still, Bitcoin is volatile nowadays, and that volatility is big pump, big dump, big pump back up again. So, yeah, that's basically the explanation here on what could happen on Bitcoin, okay? These scenarios. Without a doubt, I would, you know, if we do manage to come all the way up here, there is, I would say that this is bullish. This will be looking bullish if you break up here, because this will no longer look impulsive to the downside. You're overlapping, and it will be looking quite bullish. However, there is that gigantic symmetrical triangle that we could be forming in an ABCDE right there, and I don't want to see the price. You know, without a doubt, it could definitely form a 3-wave structure here, and top out without claiming this high, and then form an, you know, if this were to happen, then I don't like this movement. It will not look good. It will look more bearish if we just top out at this range. Just on the possibility that we could be forming that triangle. So it could be ranging for another few days here. But anyway, I'm speculating on some longs. You know, I am speculating on long here on Bitcoin. This is more of a swing long. You know, the profits, you know, we would have to go to $62,000 range. I'm looking for that possible third wave. This is a small swing long position. I would consider adding to the position, which is not my style, but I would only add once, depending on how we come down to these lows, basically. Yeah, because if we do break down here, we have the ABC structure, and if this starts breaking down very aggressively, I would add to the position just once to check the reaction here. But if you do get that price action to the downside, a best scenario, I mean, this is a small position, the best scenario based on that 3 drives pattern and the contracting diagonal, right? Or the 3 drives, it doesn't matter, very, very similar with because it forms a bit of a wedgie structure. I would, you know, the best way to trade it is getting a failed auction. Recovery, you've formed the low, that is it. This has been the liquidity grab. You put the stop loss beneath the low and you're looking for that recovery in the next coming days. That would be the scenario. Guys, Bybit for me is the #1 crypto trading platform. It's the one that I use. If you're not using it or you cannot use it based on, KYC, there is a great platform which is Bluffing. You do have the greatest bonus with the link down below. It's the third link down below, and it's no KYC, and it's going to be no KYC for a long time. Know your customer. Just with an email and a password, you can start trading on Bluffing, all right, in a matter of minutes, and you do sign up with the best deposit bonus, which is up to $80,000. Of course, to claim this $80,000, you need to deposit big and trade big, and you'll be getting big airdrops to your futures exchange. So basically free money that you can use for your trading, okay? So check out Bluffing. It is the best alternative right now, in my opinion, from Bybit, okay? No KYC, proof of reserves. It's a great platform. So let's talk about some, other different scenarios here that could happen. The best one is the 3 drives or the contracting diagonal. This is the level. It's just a classic move. I've seen this price action develop before. If you were to claim back this low, it's just going to be another liquidity grab, and there's extremely high probability that if you do recover from those lows, you're going to bounce back up and even come all the way up here to the 3 drive pattern target, right? Which is the first peak lower high. So something to pay attention here in the next coming days if we were to claim that low, okay? So BTC is a pain in the ass. It moves a couple of days, rest of the time it's sleeping, then again crazy move, then back to sleep. Very true. Yes, we're getting those volatile moves here on BTC. It's getting dark in here. You can't see me anymore. It's getting dark. 𝗬cie, my brother, thanks for joining. I could see 𝗬𝗏𝘆 also here. Tom Crown, hype it up for Andy. Come to Nashville. My brother, Tom Crown, guys, if you haven't checked out Tom Crown, go and check him out. I'm sure you already subscribed to his channel, but he's in the comment section right over here. Go and check out Tom Crown. He provides insane technical analysis and educational videos as well on his channel, guys. Hi, Andy. Let's hope Spain and Netherlands are going to play the final. That would be absolutely an insane game. Spain is playing tomorrow against France. Netherlands is playing on Wednesday against England, right? If I'm not mistaken. Big games ahead. It's going to be exciting to see. Right, let's go. Continue with the comment section. Let's smash up that like button, legends. Smash it up to a new all-time high, as they say. And let's get to 500 likes. Looking at several different scenarios here on Bitcoin that could happen. So if we were to break down from the lows of Friday and it just creates a huge, massive dump, then yeah, guys, it's just we're just gonna have to look for the range and the different price action that forms down there, right? For any trading setups. If you are speculating for shorts, yeah, it's I mean, we tapped that daily level today perfectly, getting the tap almost to the dollar and rejecting from that daily. It was a very hard trade, but you could just put in invalidation at the highs there. You're kind of asking to get stopped out, be liquidity. But this happens sometimes, right? You think, oh my goodness, we're just about to hit those highs. Boom, 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 boom. And you tap a technical level, which was that daily, and you just reject. So it's like, oh, how can you get into a short here? Well, you just need to accept a loss. If the price, as it rejects from the daily, I mean, you could go extremely aggressive and just put the stop loss above the wick, give it a few dollars. But obviously, this movement down was extremely speculative. However, I would be if you are going to trade these kind of setups, right? A tap of a daily level and a rejection, you can take it as a swing failure pattern. You tap the daily, you get above it. As soon as you get below it, you trigger the short and you just put a stop loss above the high. The question is the target zones. Well, you would have to go technical here for a scalp day trade, looking at the VWAP, you're very far away from the VWAP. VWAP is a magnet, and if you get very far away fast from the VWAP, you can come as fast down to the VWAP. So that could be a target zone that you're aiming for if you're getting into these kind of trading setups. Another target zone that I would speculate on, of course, would have been the 50% Fibonacci at least, right? Because if this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, this is the first wave 1 of 3 waves, then the common target for this wave 2 is in between 50% and the 7/8, right? Where we have retraced down to. We hit the 7/8 Fibonacci on this movement down. So if you're shorting from this level of confluence, you need to take Elliott wave into consideration. And obviously that would be in between 50% and 7/8 Fibonacci from this pivot low to the pivot high. If you're speculating that this is a wave 1 and this is a wave 2, you would have to target the 50% to the 7/8, right? 50% being the target 1. It just smashed through that level and hit the 7/8. So overall, that would be, how you would create a trading plan based on these confluence levels, right? So, yes, I'm leaning on the side that this is a wave 2. If this were to break down from this point, there is a possibility, okay, if you move down to this low and you swing failure pattern from it, you can speculate that you could get a 3-wave structure here. So you can create a plan from this pivot low. And the main reason why is because you would be forming a 5th wave down in this triangle. And always you would want to see a recovery bounce. It's an acceptable failed auction level. It could be in confluence with this higher low support trend line. A little bit aggressive. However, if we are going to be ranging for a few days, forming this larger triangle scenario, hey, you can take the shot. You're basically, looking for that long position at around about the 0.88 Fibonacci, right? Round about that low, just creating that 5th wave. And you could speculate on a long setup. And I wouldn't go too crazy, stop beneath the low, or even take it as a failed auction. As soon as you recover from the pivot low here of the 3rd wave, take that long as you're recovering and stop loss at the lows, and you're targeting the 4th wave highs, which is most commonly for a corrective structure in an ABC, right? So that is if you were to continue in this range structure for the next coming days, but you have a clear invalidation. If you take this low, I would not be interested in a swing failure pattern, and the main reason why is because this could be the ABC right there. Let me just clean the chart a little bit, guys, because it's getting a bit messy right now with the explanations. If you were to break down from this point, I would be not interested. I would say that there's extreme high probability that you're going to take this low sooner rather than later, even though if you do get a little swing failure pattern, I wouldn't risk it personally, because I would see this as an ABC right there, ABC. And this is just starting to get very, very punchy. If you claim that low, I will say that you just have a highly likely possibility that you're going to claim this low over here from Friday. Even though if it bounces, I would be like, yeah, guys, I don't like the structure. It looks bearish. If it bounces aggressively, I would consider looking at some short scenarios to take that low from Friday at $53,200. But, this is just a lot of different plans and speculation. But you get the deal, right? It's all about, I don't know what the heck is going to happen next. But what I do know is there's some setups here. There's invalidations. There's target zones. Okay, if you were to get that drop down, and why? Because you're forming 5 waves down here, and you could get a relief rally on another movement here. This could be an ABC scenario right there, and you're just forming the first wave, right? If this were to be an ABC right there, this could be just the first wave down, and you're forming a second wave, and then you're breaking down finally to come and hit those lows, right? So yeah, you know, there's always, you know, you need to speculate on the waves. So yeah, that is definitely a scenario that could happen as well. Let's go right away. So many different scenarios. Large technical analysis update today, purely based on Elliott wave theory as well, but also looking at the invalidation sign of strength, and looking at, you know, those possible trading setups, right? I mean, this does look extremely good, guys. The 3-drive pattern or the contracting diagonal here looks extremely good. So talking about another scenario here about this possibility, this is what we need to know right now. What if we do break up from the highs, which is the level that we're looking for a rejection? If the price gets a big move and breaks out here from Sunday highs above 58,400, wow, we're gonna have to analyze very carefully how this movement is. It could be extremely explosive. If it is extremely explosive and we get to $63,000, I would become extremely bullish. I would say, okay, guys, this is it, right? This has been the end of the C wave, you know, and any retracement here is likely going to be bullish. That is if we do manage to come as high as $63,000. Because then you're invalidating all of these, you know, the contracting diagonal, you know, there's no way you would do this. So, yeah, you have to form a lower high, and to speculate on this fourth wave up or the 3 drives pattern as well. You don't want the 3 drives pattern and having the second drive here coming all the way up to this high. It's, you know, it's just not, it's not possible. So because, you know, you basically would not come down to the 1.618 here, it would just go extremely low. So you don't want to overlap that peak high here. So if we were to move up, what is the strongest resistance zones? Well, we're just going to have to get some, there's no daily levels if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, there's no daily levels. We just don't have much with this drop that we've had the last few days. So yeah, we're just going to have to check out volume and the wave. And if we start consolidating here at the 1 to 1 to 1,236,1382, it gives high probability that it could be a wave C here, right? And that is when we're speculating on the 3 drives, okay, or the contracting diagonal right there. If we are going to top out at this range, and that is in between 59K and 60K. If price gets up there, it's going to be difficult, but there are ways to speculate on the short. If we start moving up here, price is getting a little bit exhaustive. Without a doubt, you could double top. We're just going to have to wait carefully here to manage risk, because this trade setup, if it were to play out, well, it's giving you a very, very high risk to reward coming down to the lows. We're just going to have to be very carefully looking for those wicks, looking for those double tops, because it could definitely come all the way up to the 1.618. But if it does come to the 1.618 and even claiming these lower highs, you know, the retracement is going to be bullish. It's going to be a corrective structure if we manage to hit these highs at $63,000. This will no longer be bearish. The retracement down will likely be bullish, and that is when we could be speculating on a big breakout for the next coming days after we do hit that high. So yeah, let's go through the comment section, legends. I want to go through some news, some scenarios. So Germany sold over 900 million of Bitcoin and caused most of the drop from the sell off. I would think they would raise price again to 60K before a second round of sell off. That is true. I mean, this is why we need to take into consideration the contracting diagonal or the 3 drives pattern. and the 1,236,1,382 as a potential topping zone, right, for this corrective structure, right? Ideally, 61878 zone as a fourth wave in a contracting diagonal is still valid as long as you don't overlap the second wave. So yeah, without a doubt, we need to pay attention, because then we could become a little bit bullish here on this movement and then back down again, right? We want to be ready for that possible short trading setup, because we could be seeing some selling pressure. We had a little bit of fake news here, apparently, after dumping Bitcoin, the market yesterday. I saw this on a couple of tweets the last few days, speculating that Germany bought back 1,900 Bitcoin, right? And apparently it was fake, because yeah, blockchain does not lie, and we can see them, not adding Bitcoin, but even selling their Bitcoin, right? Transferring those Bitcoin to exchanges to dump it, and they have 38,800 left. They probably have a little bit less right now. I'm not sure if they've been doing some activity the last few hours, so they're not adding to this wallet anyway. They're getting rid of it. So something interesting as well is we see whales, actually the whales, so the wallets that have over 10,000 Bitcoin is actually growing, guys. These are the big guys. The big guys are actually growing. Wallets with over 10,000 Bitcoin has spiked drastically during the last few days. So there's more wallets holding 10,000 Bitcoin. And why are they buying here? Well, they're buying the dip, right? They are buying the speculative spring point from this possible accumulation zone. They understand that this has been a corrective structure, and if they want to add and they want to buy, and there's going to be more people with 10,000 Bitcoin, they want to buy here, right? I think they understand the possibility of this spring point. Something to take into consideration, right? GTA 6 will enable cryptocurrency payments. Great sign of adoption, guys. We see these kind of news everywhere, every single day. So far, they only accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, and US dollar Tether. One of the most famous games, GTA, accepting cryptocurrency as payment, guys. Miners are still under significant pressure. This is something that is not too great, as it indicates here with the BTC hash ribbons. Now, just a brief explanation, of course. They are, they're starting to be not as profitable, right? And of course, they do have bags of Bitcoin, right? Miners do mine, between all of the miners in the world, 450 Bitcoin a day. And they can accumulate significant amounts of Bitcoin in a matter of a few weeks. Right now, the difficulty is growing. And, obviously, this pressure means that they could sell some of their holdings to basically, return, to get, obviously, if they're not going to be profitable with this mining, they want to pay off, right? So that means that there could be some selling pressure based on the miners. And when you add this from the miners and from the German government and from the Mt. Gox investors, right? A couple of thousand Bitcoin is not going to do much to the market. But if you add the miners, you add the German government, you add the Mt. Gox, you start adding stuff, and it's like, okay, we're starting to talk about tens of thousands of Bitcoin that could be dumped onto the market, right? At some, different stages during the next few days. Just some things that we need to consider, okay? Because it's not all bullish. It's not all bullish, and it's not all bearish. We got a big fight of bullish and bearishness, right? The Fed could slash rates by 200 points over 8 straight meetings, and as the economy, heads for a sharper downtrend, says Citibank, right? So yeah, we could be seeing in the next 8 straight meetings 800 points from the rates, which would be coming down. I'm not sure. The rates is at 5.5 now. That would be coming down to 3.5 in the next 8 straight meetings, right? From the till the 8th one. So I am concerned about this. We are seeing the economy obviously in a sharper downtrend in the US at the moment. And every time, this was explained on a live stream a few weeks ago, that every time we've decreased rates very, very sharp, okay, in a sharp manner, that is when we've entered a recession. And we can see this on the last few decades, right? Going from the 1960s. Every time we decrease, after an uptrend of interest rates, when they start cutting rates, and I know most think, okay, this is good, money print to go on, it usually comes with a bit of a crash, a little bit of a flash crash kind of situation on the markets. You usually get a bit of a drop before the price recovers, right? Or the markets recover. So it's something that we need to be ready for. Yes, we will get into a bullish market and it will continue. Just be ready for that flash crash, something similar to the C19 or the 2008 crash that obviously took quite a bit of time to recover. It eventually recovered, but this is the best moment that you want to, start getting aggressive investing, right? When everything looks like crap and it's crashing down. Not much more to be said, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. So I have 8K. What should I do to trade Ondo, Link, Solana for the bull run, or only trade BTC and make millions, please? So Nizam, small allocation, 10% for trading, 90% investing. I only trade with 10% of my entire net worth, I would say. Basically my crypto portfolio, and 90% is invested. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, they're boring, but they will do well. They will give me a return in the next coming months and years. I am not speculating on these. There's some small altcoins, of course, that are doing very bad. But that's pure speculation, and I'm not speculating on meme coins either. I've got the safe bets that if it does a 5x, 6x in the next, few months and next couple of years, I'm going to be very happy, man. So overall, please about Umbrella. Umbrella got devastated. Umbrella has gone to crap. However, like I said, this is the zone, right? If this is like, if you invested in Umbrella right over here, you're like, this coin is dead. Well, it's coming back down to that level. So, the deal. I have been buying Umbrella during the last couple of weeks. It's in the red. I did buy at 2 cents and been buying here at the 1 cent level. This is a long-term thing. Not too worried. It is in the red. I'm still speculating that this one could get a big bull run in the next coming months. And I know it sounds silly and I know it sounds unreal. But yes, I've been buying some speculative gambling coins such as poker and VPP. And oh my goodness, this looks good. This looks good. Oh yes, baby. This is where I want to buy. Pump and dump, selling pressure, getting exhausted. Hey, at some point, this is going to do bang. It's going to pop again, guys. It will pop again. So this is the range. We've been talking about this many weeks and months. After this major crash that happens on altcoins, it's going to start bottoming out. Selling pressure, the aggressive selling pressure, is going to get exhausted. There's nothing else to sell. There's no more selling pressure. That is when you want to step in. And I've been buying some of these very this did over a 10x in just a couple of weeks. It's a quick 10x. I'm speculating with a small percentage of my portfolio that this is going to repeat at some point in the next coming months. Give or take 6, 12, 18. It doesn't matter. I'm not in a rush. It's going to happen at some point, and I will profit from that scenario. Whether it takes 6 or 12 months, it doesn't matter. It will repeat. It's a rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. So this is, it's going to be boring, guys. It is boring. Disbelief is the worst stage of a bull run. Legends, when bull run over, I'm going to say, bull run is never over. Bull run is never over. You just get pullbacks. Thank you, legends, for joining. Make sure to check out Bluffing, guys. This is the greatest cryptocurrency exchange with no KYC currently. You do have the greatest bonus available. Of course, you do support the channel like this, but you do get the best deal that there is available out there. Bluffing, guys, no KYC, email and password. You can start trading in minutes. They also have a lot of spot cryptocurrencies there that you can buy and send to your wallet. Thank you, legends, and I will see you in the next one.